As I was working on the book that would become Mayflower, I realized that some of the primary sources I was using were so compelling that they really deserved to be read independently. And what if we could arrange them in such a way they could tell the story through the voices of the people who actually lived it. And so Mayflower Papers starts with the voyage of the Mayflower, the assemblage of the Pilgrims, their arrival on Cape Cod, and then what they would call Plymouth Harbor. But it also takes the story past the first Thanksgiving to the second generation and even the third generation, what would unfold 50 years later, King Philip's War. Because I think this is an essential part of the story of what began with the voyage of the Mayflower, a compact that was formed with the native peoples would fall apart in subsequent generations and result in one of the most deadly wars ever fought on American soil, known as King Philip's War. And I think we found it was best told through two combatants. Well, actually, one combatant and another a casualty. Uh, you know, okay, wait, hang on. Oh, yes, hang on. Let me just get this. Yes, okay. And we felt the story of King Philip's War was best told through two narratives. One is a combatant named Benjamin Church, who will take a leading role in leading the English forces against the native peoples. And what's interesting about him is he had genuine sympathy for the native side of things and really objected to the whole unfolding of what would become the war. But in the end, he would become engulfed in this terrible tragedy. And then the other source is Mary Rowlandson, who would her house would be attacked by native peoples. She would be abducted and taken all around New England. And what makes her account really special is that she would spend an extensive amount of time with the Wampanoag leader, King Philip, known in history, but Metacom was his native name. And it's just a fascinating portrayal from a woman of the horrors of war and then providing this intimate look at the leadership of the native peoples in this conflict. And so the intention that my father and I had when we assembled Mayflower Papers was that the reader who wanted to know more about what unfolded in Plymouth Colony and beyond could hear the story through the voices of the people who lived it. And I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it leads to further interest in learning about the circumstances surrounding Plymouth Colony and ultimately King Philip's War. Some of you may have never encountered a primary source, particularly a primary source that dates back to the 17th century when people spoke in very different ways, used a vocabulary that can seem strange to us now in the 21st century. But so I would urge you to, take this carefully, but I think you'll ultimately find it totally fascinating because once you get used to the words and the expressions that are being used, you'll quickly recognize the universal aspects of human experience, the humanity of these people. And everyone who tells a story tells it from their own perspective. And so remember that. You're not he These are not objective accounts of what happened. These are accounts of the people who lived it, who saw it by definition from their point of view. And so I think that's what makes it special. As a historian, I take these first person accounts which are often contradictory, and try to uncover as best I can what actually happened. And so this provides the reader with the opportunity to try it, to experience the past directly And as you'll see, you'll probably see some contradictions in some of the accounts that follow. And but that's the interesting and important part about reading primary sources from history.